I'll never forget that moment. The moment I realized my flight was delayed, and I wasn't just talking about a couple of hours. We're talking about an entire day. One of those we don't know when kinds of delays. I stood there in the airport, watching everyone else's hopes slowly deflate. I had plans, important ones. The kind of plans that involve family, milestones, things you can't just push aside. I felt this knot form in my stomach. I was supposed to be at my sister's wedding, but now I wasn't even sure I'd make it in time. And there was no guarantee they'd even put me on the next flight. I started imagining the worst-case scenarios, a missed wedding toast, a missed I do, and the growing tension with my family, who were already counting on me to be there. I was already mentally calculating how many extra days I'd need to be away from work, how much I'd have to pay for hotels, meals, transportation, and how I could just barely make this whole thing work. I felt helpless, frustrated. The last thing I wanted was to be scrambling for answers. But then, as if on cue, I remembered something. Something I had just found out about while researching travel hacks. Something that sounded too good to be true. Travel insurance that actually covered these kinds of delays. I was skeptical, honestly. Like, how could something so simple actually help me out in a moment like this? I pulled out my phone almost reflexively. I logged in and checked. And I couldn't believe what I saw. There it was, right in front of me. The insurance I had gotten for my trip. I didn't even remember signing up for it, but there it was. It was covering not just the cost of the flight delay, but also everything else. The hotel I needed to book last minute, the meals I had to pay for, and the missed connections. The whole cost of everything was covered. I actually had to sit down for a second because I wasn't sure I was reading it right. Was this a mistake? No, it wasn't. It turned out this insurance policy, one I had added at the very last minute before booking my flight, covered things I never even thought to consider. They had been there all along, quietly protecting me from the chaos of travel. I couldn't believe I was actually in a situation where I needed it, but I was so thankful I had it. The anxiety of scrambling to find extra money, the endless calls to customer service, it all disappeared. It was the first time I ever felt like I was actually being cared for by a company. Like I wasn't just a customer or a ticket number. When the dust settled, I was back on track. I made it to my sister's wedding in time. I didn't miss a single moment. And it was only because I'd signed up for the seemingly small travel insurance policy. I guess that's the thing, right? You never really know how much you need something until you do. I always thought travel insurance was this optional, just in case thing, but no one tells you it could be your lifeline until you're in the thick of it. And that's when I realized. This is exactly why I trust Aura's .insure now. I didn't even think about it, but when I needed it most, it was there, covering costs, making sure I could keep my plans and keeping me grounded. You won't always see the value in something until it steps in when you're most vulnerable. For me, this wasn't just a policy, it was the difference between panic and relief. That's why I wouldn't hesitate to recommend them. Check them out if you want to make your travel plans just a little less stressful. I won't say it's magic, but it sure feels like it. And when you're thousands of miles away from home and everything goes sideways, you'll be thanking yourself for that one smart decision.